Here are the 9 contestants preparing for tonight's show. At stake is a prize fund of up to £50,000, but only one of them can take the money away. The rest will leave with nothing, as one by one they're voted off as the weakest link.
Welcome to the weakest link. Any of the 9 people in the studio here tonight could win up to £50,000. They don't know each other, however. If they want the prize money, they'll have to work as a team. But 8 of them will leave with nothing, as round by round we lose the player voted the weakest link. Let's meet the team.
I'm Tony, I'm 21, I'm from Sheffield, and I'm a medical student.
I'm Lorna, I'm 50, I'm from West Lothian in Scotland, and I'm an on-course bookmaker.
I'm Pat, I'm 78, I'm from Luton, and I'm a retired heating engineer.
I'm Lisa, I'm 38, I'm from Reigate in Surrey, and I run a health and safety training company.
I'm Cyrus, I'm 36, I'm from Camden Town, London, and I'm an independent filmmaker.
I'm Sandra, I'm 26, I'm from Birmingham, and I'm a bank clerk.
I'm Sheila, I'm 46 years old, from Gateshead, and I'm a confectionery assistant.
I'm Wendy, I'm 64, I'm from Herne in Kent, and I'm a retired school teacher.
I'm Rydian, I'm 48, I come from Carmarthen near Port Talbot, and I'm a steelworker.
Now, the rules in each round, the aim is to answer enough questions correctly to reach your £5,000 target within the time limit. The fastest way is to create a chain of 9 correct answers. Get your question wrong, and you break the chain and lose all the money in that chain. But if you say bank before the question is asked, the money is safe. However, you start a new chain from scratch. The first round lasts for 3 minutes. We'll start with the person whose name is first alphabetically. That's you, Cyrus. Let's play the weakest link. First question is for £100. Start the clock. Cyrus, Tony Blair represented which political party at the 2001 general election?
The Labour Party.
Correct, Sandra. In which sensory organ are the light-sensitive cells known as cones?
Eyes.
Correct, Sheila. In maths, if a box of nails weighs 2,000 grams, how many kilograms does it weigh?
20.
2. Wendy, in tennis, what L is the word used when a player has scored 0 points?
Love.
Correct. Rydian, what was the first name of the wife of the President John F. Kennedy?
Jackie.
Correct. Tony, in pop music, Gary Barlow, Robbie Williams, Mark Owen, Howard Donald and Jason Orange were members of which 90s group?
Take that.
Correct. Lorna, in which English city is the National Portrait Gallery?
London.
Correct. Pat, in geography, what M is the name of the sea that surrounds the Italian islands of Sardinia and Sicily?
Mediterranean.
Correct. Lisa, in
Bank.
the Christian calendar, in which month does St. David's Day fall?
April.
March. Cyrus, in electricity, which size of battery is the larger, AA or AAA?
AA.
Correct. Sandra, in which Olympic sport did Sharon Davis represent Britain?
Running.
No, swimming. Sheila, what W is both the nickname of snooker player Jimmy White and a column of rotating air around a core of low pressure?
Whirlwind.
Correct. Wendy, in pop music, which group had a 1982 UK #1 single with House of Fun?
Poison.
Madness. Rydian, in which sport do you have a popping crease?
Cricket.
Correct. Tony, in the animal kingdom, what S is the name of the migrating fish famous for being able to leap upstream?
Salmon.
Correct. Lorna, in geography, the Davis Strait lies between Greenland and which continent, Europe or North America?
North America.
Correct. Pat, which female singer's life was the subject of the 1993 film What's Love Got to Do with It?
Marilyn Monroe.
No, Tina Turner. Lisa, which word refers to the state of dormancy of some plants and animals during the winter?
Hibernation.
Correct. Cyrus, in which English county is the town of Royal Tunbridge Wells?
Hampshire.
Kent. Sandra, the year 1977 saw the Silver Jubilee celebrations for which British monarch?
Elizabeth II.
Correct. Sheila, in politics, which leader of a British party from 1988 to 1999 speaks fluent Chinese?
Margaret Thatcher.
Paddy Ashdown. Wendy, in music, in which country was the sitar player Ravi Shankar born?
In India.
Correct. Ridian, by what name is the Underground Railway opened in Paris in July 1900?
Metro.
known? Correct. Tony, in history, the Hudson Bay Company played a large part in the early development of which present-day country?
New York.
The correct answer is Canada, on account of New York not being a country, Tony. You got £1,600 out of the £5,000 you could have won in that round. Whose village is missing its idiot? Who's due for an early bath? One of you is about to leave with nothing. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
With the most correct answers, Ridian is the first strongest link. The weakest link statistically is Sheila. At this early stage of the game, what will the other players take into account as they cast their votes?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Sheila.
Pat.
Sheila.
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 Pat.
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 Sandra,
Yeah.
what's so funny?
Because I knew you was going to say something to me first.
What do you do?
I'm a bank clerk.
A bank clerk. Tell me about some of the races that Sharon Davis ran. She ran past your bank.
She went so quick I didn't even see her.
Why, Sheila?
I think she was the only one that got 2 questions wrong.
Only one more than you, Sandra.
Oh, you gotta be ruthless to be rich.
Is that what you say when you nick from the bank?
Careful, my manager's watching.
That's your problem. Cyrus, remind us what you do.
Make films.
What sort of filmmaker are you?
An independent one, I make short films.
Independent filmmaker.
Yes.
Will no one make films with you?
Only once, Anne.
Where'd you make your films, Cyrus?
Where?
Yes.
On location, Anne.
Whereabouts on location?
Depends where we are. Depends what they're about.
Would you know?
I would, yeah.
Would you? Because you don't know where Tunbridge Wells is, do you, Cyrus?
No, my geography's probably one of my weakest points, Anne.
Mind you, we haven't seen your films. They might be worse than your geography. Why, Sheila?
She came across as the weakest link, Anne.
You're quite right. Sheila, with 5 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm absolutely devastated to be voted off first. I can't believe it's my worst nightmare come true. I've come a long way today and I've waited so long for this moment that I can't believe this has actually happened, and I'm going to take some stick from work, all my friends. I'm never going to live it down.
Round 2, you've got £1,600 in the bank. There are 8 of you left. We are taking 10 seconds off the clock now. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's you, Ridian. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Ridian, in geography, which English national park surrounds the coastal resort of Whitby on the landward side?
Yorkshire.
No, North York Moors. Tony, in physics, which is heavier, a proton or an electron?
Proton.
Correct. Lorna, the main aim of which medieval science was to turn base metals into gold?
I've no idea.
Alchemy. Pat, in history, who was the first Labour Prime Minister of the UK?
Ramsay MacDonald.
Correct. Lisa, in the weather forecasting rhyme, which 2 words follow the line red sky at night?
Shepherd's Delight.
Correct. Cyrus, Isambard Kingdom Brunel's famous ship, the Great Britain, was built in which city?
Portsmouth.
Bristol. Sandra, in the 2001 film Swordfish, which British actor and former sportsman plays the character Marco?
Eric Cantona.
Vinnie Jones. Wendy, in music, what is the surname of Sir Simon, the acclaimed British conductor? Shake, rattle or roll?
Rattle.
Correct. Ridian, which Hollywood actress married actor and director Billy Bob Thornton in the year 2000?
Kate Hudson.
No. Angelina Jolie. Tony, in food, which variety of bean takes its name from its resemblance to a biological organ?
Kidney.
Correct. In nature, phototropism is the movement of part of a plant towards or away from what?
The sun.
I'll accept. Light or
Bang.
sun. Pat,
Bang.
what R is a puzzle in the form of a question or rhyme that contains clues to its answer?
Crossword puzzle.
Riddle. Lisa, in medicine, which bodily fluid is commonly classified by the ABO system?
Blood.
Correct. Cyrus, in science, deep-sea divers often speak with squeaky voices because the air they breathe includes which unreactive gas?
Helium.
Correct. Sandra,
Bank.
in TV, which comedian is famous for his role as disc jockey Alan Partridge?
Angus Deaton.
Steve Coogan. Wendy, shortly after the general election of 2001, to which cabinet post was David Blunkett appointed?
Minister of Education.
Home Secretary. Ridian, in pop music, which city in the Netherlands is also the title of a 1996 UK hit single by the Beautiful South?
Rotterdam.
Correct. Tony, who published his biography of Samuel Johnson in 1791, Boswell or Pepys?
Boswell.
Correct. Lorna,
Bang.
in which London park is Speaker's Corner?
Hyde.
Correct. Pat, in nature, what D is the name given to an equatorial ocean region of calm, sudden storms and light? Doldrums is the correct answer, but you are out of time. Of the £5,000 you could have banked in that round, you didn't even make it to 1,000. Just £750. Which member of the team wouldn't be missed? Who's out at their depth? Who needs to go? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
By failing to answer a single question correctly, Sandra is statistically the weakest link. The strongest link is Tony. But will the votes reflect the facts?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Sandra.
Sandra.
Ridian.
Lorna.
Sandra.
Ridian.
Lorna.
Pat.
Tony, how old are you?
21.
21. And what do you do?
I'm a medical student.
Are you? So you must be halfway through learning how to be a doctor then, are you?
Just starting in September at Sheffield, yeah.
Oh, so you don't know anything yet?
No, I know my anatomy, yeah.
You know your anatomy?
I knew what a kidney bean was, yeah.
Why, Sandra?
She got 2 wrong out of the ones she got, so she's the weakest link.
Lorna,
Anne.
what do you do?
I'm a bookmaker.
Where do you do your bookmaking?
And Scottish tracks.
Oh, you're on the course, are you? Do you do all this business?
Only when I'm running away. No.
Why, Sandra?
I thought she was the weakest link.
Cyrus, who makes films that nobody watches.
Yes, Anne.
Your geography isn't much good, is it, even in that round?
What did I get wrong?
I asked the questions. What did Sandra do to upset you?
She's got a better laugh than I have, and I resent that.
Right. Well, statistically, Sandra was the worst player. She works in a bank, or she did. With 3 votes, Sandra, you are the weakest link. Bye.
Very disappointed about being voted off in the second round. I came here for my 15 minutes of fame. It lasted about 15 seconds. I just think that my sense of humour was too hot for the rest of the team.
Round 3 so far, you've won £2,350 out of a possible 10,000. You're down to 7 players. We're taking another 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Tony. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Tony, in film, Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly starred together in which classic 1952 musical?
Singing in the Rain.
Correct. Lorna, in biology, which numerical term describes human eyesight of normal strength?
20/20 vision.
Correct. Pat, which paper size is twice the size of A4?
A3.
Correct. Lisa, in geography, what W is the name of the peninsula on which the town of Birkenhead is situated?
Wigan.
No, Wirral. Cyrus, in TV, actress Julie Walters played the mother of which adolescent schoolboy with a secret diary?
Pass.
Adrian Mole. Wendy, in science, by what name are the north and south ends of a magnet known?
I don't know.
Poles. Ridian, in sport, composer Andrew Lloyd Webber is a lifelong fan of which football team, Manchester United or Leyton Orient?
Leyton Orient.
Correct. Tony, Karachi is the largest city in which Asian country?
China.
Pakistan. Lorna, in pop music, All Saints had a year 2000 UK #1 single with Pure what?
Love.
Shores. Pat, what A is a word for someone who keeps bees?
Aviarist.
No, apiarist. Lisa, in Islam, which prophet received revelations from Allah that were recorded to form the text of the Holy Quran?
Muhammad.
Correct. Cyrus, in UK geography, in which English county are the old market towns of Halstead and Witham?
Yorkshire.
Essex. Wendy, in food, which vegetable, when mashed, is the main ingredient of the Irish dish champ?
Potatoes.
Correct. Ridian, who was Poet Laureate of England between 1972 and 1984? John Betjeman or Ted Hughes?
Ted Hughes.
No, John Betjeman. Tony, in children's literature, which character takes his name from the fact that his head nods when he talks?
Noddy.
Correct. Lorna, in military aircraft, for what does the V stand in the abbreviation VTOL?
Victory.
No, vertical. Pat, in marine biology, what I is the common name of the coloured liquid expelled by the octopus as a defence mechanism?
Ink.
Correct. Lisa, in football, which former player was banned from the French national side in 1988 after insulting the manager on television?
Pass.
Eric Cantona. Cyrus, in religion, which name appears the greatest number of times in the Bible? David or Jesus?
David.
David was the correct answer, and you were in time. You managed to bank 0, zilch, nothing. I urge you, turn out the turnip, ditch the ditherer, drop the dead wood. It's time to vote off the weakest link.
For the first time in the game, Pat is the strongest link. The statistics show that Lisa is the weakest link. But will the other players realise that when it comes to the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Pat.
Cyrus.
Ridian.
Ridian.
Wendy.
Cyrus.
Cyrus.
Ridian,
Yes, sir.
where are you from?
Put Talbot in Wales, on.
Excellent. Do you speak Welsh?
To be back. Little bit.
What do you use your Welsh language for?
Infuriated English people when I'm in a company.
That's what I suspected. Why Cyrus?
Well, he'd never offered me a part in his new film.
Wendy,
Yes, Anne.
what do you do?
I'm a housewife, but I'm a retired teacher.
Don't you think you ought to have known that David Blunkett was no longer in charge of education?
Yes, I should have done. You're absolutely right.
Why Cyrus?
I thought that he had more questions that he couldn't answer, but it's difficult with all the kerfuffle that's going on. Did my best.
Lorna,
Anne.
why Cyrus? Did you think he was the weakest link?
Was it me?
No, did you think Cyrus was the weakest link?
I did.
Statistically, Lisa was the worst player. But it's votes that count. With 3 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I think the reason that the team voted me off in that round was I paused quiet for a long time and then passed. I felt the vibe.
Round 4. You've banked £2,350 so far out of potential prize money of £15,000. There are 6 of you left. We are taking another 10 seconds off the clock. You now have only 2.5 minutes. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Pat. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Pat, what is the Russian word for yes?
Da.
Correct, Lisa. In UK geography, what T is the river that forms part of the northern end of the Scotland-England border?
The Tyne.
Tweed. Wendy, in botany, the reproductive system of flowers, which sex produces the ovules?
The female.
Correct. Rydian, in theatre, what is the first name of the playwright Pinter, born in 1930?
Harold.
Correct. Tony, in pop music, Bat Out of Hell was a multi-million selling album for which rock musician?
Meatloaf.
Correct. Lorna,
Bang.
in cricket, what D is the county that plays home matches at the Riverside Ground?
Pass.
Durham. Pat, according to the saying, if you are certain something won't happen, which article of clothing will you offer to eat?
Your hat.
Correct. Lisa, in literature, the autobiography of entrepreneur Richard Branson is entitled Losing My What?
Nerve.
Virginity. Wendy, which North African country has the pound as its currency, Libya or Egypt?
Egypt.
Correct. Rydian, the newspaper editor and publisher Joseph Pulitzer was an immigrant to the US from which present-day Eastern European country?
Poland.
No, Hungary. Tony, in medicine, what S is a Japanese therapy in which pressure from thumbs and palms is applied to the body?
I don't know.
Shiatsu. Lorna, New Holland is a historical name for which island continent in the South Pacific?
Bali.
Australia. Pat, in science, what is the opposite of a convex surface?
A concave.
Correct. Lisa, on TV, which original EastEnders character returned to the soap in May 2001?
The blonde one who runs the pub.
Sharon Watts.
That's it.
Wendy, of what is an agoraphobic more likely to be afraid, spiders or open spaces?
Open spaces.
Correct. Rydian, the author of the Iliad, shares his name with which character from the Simpsons cartoon series?
Homer.
Correct. Tony, which
Frank.
British city is home to the John Rylands Library?
London.
Manchester. Lorna, which Swedish pop group's name came from the initial letters of its members' first names?
ABBA.
Correct. Pat, what D is the name of the currency in Jamaica, Singapore and Fiji?
Dollar.
Correct. Lisa, in film, Julianne Moore co-stars in which 2001 sequel to Silence of the Lambs? Time's up. The correct answer is Hannibal. You got rid of 3 allegedly weaker links and you managed to put in the kitty just £750. Who clearly is not the sharpest pencil in the case? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
With the most correct answers, Pat remains the strongest link statistically. Lisa is the weakest link for the second round in a row as she failed to get any of her answers right. But whose game is now over?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Lorna.
Tony.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Rydian,
Yes, on.
when you speak this Welsh when there's English people around, what starts you off? Do you just do it immediately you hear some English accents?
Not always, no. Depends on the personality, really.
What don't you like about the English?
Just some of them are just horrible.
Why, Lisa?
Well, unfortunately, I can't remember getting a question right in that round.
So, Tony, do you think you've got a good enough bedside manner?
Yeah.
We haven't seen any evidence of it.
You're not going to.
What did Lisa do to upset you?
She got all her questions wrong, unfortunately.
Oh, good, you were noticing. Right, well, Lisa, you got away with it in one round, but not two. You're apparently an expert in health and safety, but you're very unhealthy for this team. With 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I'm pleased to be voted off. Anne hadn't exchanged a single word with me all night, so she obviously didn't want to speak to me, so the sooner I was off, the better. I think probably Lorna will be voted off next. She's been a little weak all the way through, so I think it will be her turn next.
Round 5, your total so far is £3,100. If you'd hit your target, it would be £20,000. Another 10 seconds coming off the time. We start with the strongest link from the last round, that's Pat. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Pat, in history, the American state of Louisiana was named after the king of which country?
France.
Correct. Wendy, in medicine, what S is any change in the normal condition of a patient indicating disease or injury?
I don't know.
Symptom.
Oh, God.
Ridian, in which musical does the character Dr. Frank N. Furter appear?
Rocky Horror Show.
Correct. Tony, in food and drink, which alcoholic spirit is commonly described as either blended or single malt?
Whiskey.
Correct. Lorna, what's the first name of the actor, son of former poet laureate Cecil Day Lewis?
Cecil.
Daniel. Pat, in nature, during which of the 4 seasons do the so-called dog days occur?
Summer.
Correct. Wendy, in football, Hertha Berlin is a team in the domestic league of which European country?
Germany.
Correct. Ridian, in world geography, by what name was Vietnam's Ho Chi Minh City known immediately before being renamed in 1976?
Saigon.
Correct. Tony.
Bank.
In an ode published in 1807, the poet William Wordsworth wrote that his heart leapt up when he beheld a what in the sky?
Cloud.
A rainbow. Lorna. In food, in which country did the cheese called Gorgonzola originate?
Germany.
Italy. Pat, on TV, what were the names of the flower pot men?
Bill and Ben.
Correct. Wendy, in nature, an anaerobe is an organism so called because it can live without the presence of which gas?
Hydrogen.
Oxygen. Ridian, the 19th century novel Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe is set in the period immediately before which conflict in US history?
American Civil War.
Correct. Tony,
Bank.
which Welsh golfer was given a 2-stroke penalty in the final round of the 2001 Open for having too many clubs in his golf bag?
Nick Faldo.
No, Ian Woosman. Lorna, which classical composer wrote the opera Don Giovanni?
Puccini.
No, Mozart. Pat, which former US president earned the nickname the Comeback Kid by surviving several political scandals?
Bill Clinton.
Correct.
Bank.
Wendy, in art, the Spanish Guggenheim Museum is in... Time's up. I cannot complete the question. You only banked £800. If stupidity equaled wealth, which among you would be a millionaire? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Having answered all her questions incorrectly, Lorna is the weakest link. Pat is statistically the strongest link for the 3rd consecutive time in the game. But who will lose out in the vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Lorna.
Wendy.
Lorna.
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 Pat,
Yes, madam.
you're a retired heating engineer.
Yes.
Tell me what's interesting about being a heating engineer.
Absolutely nothing. It was a way of earning a living.
Who were your worst customers?
People who didn't pay me.
You're quite keen to get rid of Lorna, aren't you?
Yeah.
You voted for her twice.
Yeah.
Why?
Because I thought she was the weakest link.
So, boy doctor there. What do you do when you're not learning to be a boy doctor?
Reading, movies, writing. That sort of
Writing, what do you write?
thing. Short stories.
Well, give us an example of a short story you've written, Boy Doctor.
Well, I've an idea for one after this.
No, never mind, one you've written. Come on, don't be shy, Boy Doctor.
What about the life of a student?
Oh, that'll be fascinating. Why Lorna?
As with Lisa, she got all her questions wrong, which pointed towards her being the weakest link.
Lorna, I fear all bets are off. With 4 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I did expect to be voted off in that round. I was the weakest link. I never got a question correct at all. I think Wendy will go next. I don't think she's a particularly strong player, and I think the men will gang on her.
Round 6, you have £3,900 out of a possible 25,000. 4 of you left. We are cutting another 10 seconds from your time. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Pat. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Pat, which Mad Max actor married Robin Moore in 1980?
Billy Bloggins.
Mel Gibson. Wendy, on TV, the British police sitcom The Thin Blue Line was written by writer and comedian Ben who?
Elton.
Correct. Ridian, in food production, the root sap of which species of mallow was formerly used to produce a sweet confection of the same name?
Marsh.
Correct. Tony,
Bang.
in the 1997 film Good Will Hunting, which American actor starred as Will Hunting?
Ben Affleck.
No, Matt Damon. Pat, in French literature, the classic 1857 novel by Gustave Flaubert is entitled Madame Who?
Bovary.
Correct. Wendy, in computing, what peripheral device can be an inkjet, laser or dot matrix?
Pass.
Printer. Ridian, in pop music, how many members of NSYNC are there?
3.
5. Tony, in literature, which English poet and playwright wrote the poem that begins, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day"?
William Shakespeare.
Correct. Pat, which 1946 film directed by David Lean was the story of 2 strangers meeting in a train station and falling in love?
Brief Encounter.
Correct. Wendy, in history, what was the first name of the Spanish king who sent the Armada to invade England in 1588?
Philip.
Correct. Ridian, in nature, the Atacama, Sahara and Gobi are all names of prominent examples of which type of ecosystem?
Desert.
Correct. Tony, in which musical does the song Sit Down, You're Rockin' the Boat appear?
Pirates of Penzance.
No, Guys and Dolls. Pat, which knitted fabric shares its name with one of the Channel Islands?
Guernsey.
No, Jersey. Wendy, in modern history, in which decade did Helmut Schmidt become Chancellor of West Germany?
90s.
No, the 70s. Ridian, Smee is a pirate in which classic children's play?
Peter Pan.
Correct. Tony.
Bank.
In radio, James Naughtie became a regular. Time's up. You banked £850, team. Whose career now needs doctoring? Whose performance is not hot enough? Who needs to go to the bottom of the class? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
With the most correct answers, Ridian is the strongest link. According to the statistics, Tony is the weakest link, but he did bank the most money for the team. Will the other players take that into account as they vote?
Voting over, it's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Wendy.
Tony.
Pat.
Pat.
Ridian,
Yes, sir.
explain why you voted for Pat.
Well, he's had some excellent rounds, but I think he's getting a bit tired now, and he faltered a bit that round. I'm just thinking of him, I am.
Is it because he's English and he's been the strongest player overall in the game so far?
No. Maybe a good plumber, but he doesn't got his...
I think the more you speak, the more convinced I am that you've got rid of the strongest opposition.
No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
So, Wendy, will you explain to the rest of the team and to me and any of your former pupils that are looking why you've chosen to get rid of the strongest player?
I thought in that round he was the weakest link. I really did. If I was wrong, I'm a human after all, man like you, but I thought he was.
Pat, you are clearly too much competition, sir. With 2 votes, the team have decided you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, I don't mind about Wendy because she was just a stooge. Ridian voted me off because I was the best player. I haven't the faintest idea who'll be voted off next because I don't know what those 2 crooks will get up to.
Round 7, and you've won £4,750 out of a possible 30,000. There are 3 of you left, 2 of whom, the retired teacher and the Welshman, should be thoroughly ashamed of themselves. We are taking another 10 seconds off the clock. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Ridian. Let's play the weakest link. Start clock. Ridian, in the high street, what type of business is traditionally represented by 3 gold balls?
Pawnbroker.
Correct. Tony, which member of the musical group The Three Tenors is known for his work with an International Leukemia Foundation?
Pavarotti.
No, Jose Carreras. Wendy, in history, the scene of a military incident in 1756 in India became known as the Black Hole of which city?
Calcutta.
Correct. Ridian, in which religion is the Talmud a sacred text?
Islam.
No, Judaism. Tony, in medicine, a pacemaker is used to regulate which organ of the human body?
The heart.
Correct. Wendy, which 1998 film by the Farrelly brothers starred Matt Dillon and Cameron Diaz?
Pass.
There's something about Mary. Ridian, in contemporary literature, the author of the novel White Teeth is Zadie who?
Frost.
Smith. Tony, in which Middle Eastern city is the grave of Oskar Schindler?
Egypt.
Jerusalem. Wendy, in imperial measurements, how many feet are there in 4 yards?
12.
Correct. Ridian, in
Fine.
which country is Yosemite National Park?
USA.
Correct. Tony, in golf, how many shots over par is a bogey?
3.
No, 1. Wendy, which former 100 metres champion went on to present the TV show Record Breakers?
Sally Gunwale.
No, Linford Christie. Ridian, which film actor was killed driving his Porsche on the 30th of September 1955?
James
Correct. Tony, which disease is sometimes abbreviated by the letters TB?
Tuberculosis.
Correct. Wendy, the Red Sea and Bay of Bengal are inlets of which ocean?
The Iranian Gulf.
No, the Indian. Ridian, in which field of the arts was Margot Fontaine and
Ballet.
Time's up. Your answer was in time. Your banking was not. And collectively, this clever little trio put into the kitty £450. Now, in round 8, you get the chance to treble what you bank, which means in the next round, potentially, there's £15,000 to be won. The question is, who do you think will cost you the most money? It's time to vote off the weakest link.
Statistically, Tony remains the weakest link. For the 2nd round in a row, Ridian is the strongest link. But at this crucial stage of the game, will the votes reflect reality?
Voting over. It's time to reveal who you think is the weakest link.
Wendy.
Tony.
Wendy.
So, Ridian, what do you want to lie about this time?
Anything you like, Anne?
Why have you voted for Wendy?
Well, I felt in that round she was the weakest link. I can't remember getting that question right.
Boy Doctor, did you think Wendy was the weakest link?
Probably me, Anne, but I can't vote for myself.
You're absolutely correct. Statistically, you were the worst player. But it's votes that count. Wendy, the With 2 votes, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Tony voted me off because I think he probably genuinely thought I was the weakest link. I'm not sure about Ridian. I think he was a little bit worried about me. It's a compliment. I would rather like Tony to win because he's a young man, struggling a bit perhaps financially.
Round 8. You've won £5,200 out of a possible £35,000. Tony and Ridian. 2 of you left and you have 90 seconds, but whatever you win in this round will be trebled and added to your total to make up your final prize money. So £15,000 is at stake in this round. We'll start with the strongest link from the last round. That's Ridian. Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock. Ridian, which article of optical equipment takes its name from the Latin meaning 2 eyes together?
Bifocals.
Binoculars. Tony, in food, which part of the name of the dish Toad in the Hole refers to the sausage?
Toad.
Correct. Ridian,
Bank.
in the 1953 film Calamity Jane, Doris Day sang "Now I Shout It from the Highest Hills, Even Toll the Golden What?"
Daffodils.
Correct. Tony, in a standard manual car, which of the 3 foot pedals is in the centre?
The accelerator.
No, the brake. Ridian, in the 2001 Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Championships, which Australian player was the losing men's singles finalist?
Padlafter.
Correct. Tony, in space, Ganymede, the largest satellite in the solar system, orbits which planet?
Earth.
Jupiter. Ridian, which group provided several songs for the soundtrack of the film Saturday Night Fever?
Bee Gees.
Correct. Tony,
Bank.
of which domestic animal is the giant schnauzer a breed?
A dog.
Correct. Ridian,
Bank.
in the American sitcom Friends, which British actress played Ross's second wife, Emily?
Helen Baxendale.
Correct. Tony,
Bank.
which part of the British Armed Forces is commonly referred to by the initials TA?
Territorial Army.
Correct. Ridian,
Bank.
in pop music, which group had a UK #1 single in 1995 with the song Fairground?
Pass.
Simply Red. Tony, in a
Bank.
standard game of darts, if a player throws 3 inner bulls, how many points does he score?
25. Oh, 75.
No, 150. Ridian. Time's up. Between you in that round, you won £500, which we'll treble and add to the winnings from the previous rounds. That means prize money tonight of £6,700. But of course, only one of you can take that money away. So now you'll be playing against each other head to head. I'll ask alternate questions, best of 5. Whoever answers the most correctly wins. It's as simple as that. So Tony and Ridian, for £6,700, let's play the weakest link. Ridian, as the strongest link in the last round, you have the choice of who goes first.
I go first, please, Anne.
Ridian, the Laurence Olivier Award, or Larry, is a bust of the young actor in his role as which Shakespearean king?
Hamlet.
No, the correct answer is Henry V. Tony, in architecture, the firm run by Lord Foster designed a huge glass roof opened over the great court of which historic London building in December 2000?
Covent Gardens.
No, the correct answer is the British Museum. Ridian, which word specifically describes a person aged between 70 and 79 years old?
Septuagenarian.
That is the correct answer. Tony, in music, which female singer won the 1970 Eurovision Song Contest for Ireland with All Kinds of Everything?
I don't know.
Correct answer is Dana. Ridian, in the solar system, which is the only planet whose name is the first name of a 2001 Wimbledon tennis champion?
Venus.
That is the correct answer. Tony, in the TV series Blackadder II, which actress played Queen Elizabeth I?
Julie Walters.
No, the correct answer is Miranda Richardson. Ridian, if you answer this question correctly, you have won. So for £6,700. In the animal kingdom, feathers, claws, hair and nails are all formed from which fibrous protein?
Enamel.
No, the correct answer is keratin. Tony, you have to answer this question correctly to remain in the game. In film, which famous duo were played 14 times by Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce?
Sherlock Holmes and Watson.
That is the correct answer. Again, Ridian, if you answer this question correctly, you have won. In politics, the only post-war chancellors of the Exchequer who later became Prime Minister have been Harold Macmillan, James Callaghan, and who else?
John Major.
That is the correct answer. That means, Ridian, you are tonight's strongest link and you go away with £6,700. Tony, you leave with nothing. Join us again for the weakest link. Goodbye.
I think at the last minute, Anne's viciousness just tilted me over there, unnerved me a little bit.
I never voted tactically at any stage during the game. People might think I did, but I can honestly say, with my hand on my heart, I didn't.